and thanks for watching or listening to VIP Boxing Bell to Bell, episode 105. As always, leave John and myself and our guest a review on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. I don't know how we're doing at iTunes. We were doing really well before Christmas. Maybe John will discover in the next week. He's got these ways of finding out these things. You know me, Steve. You know John Evans. Tonight's special guest. He was brave in the ring, WBO Super-Featherweight champion. He's brave with his punditry, his commentary. He never sits on the fence. He gives an opinion. He says what he means. But the bravest of all, he's wearing a Wales rugby shirt. Barry Jones.
Yeah, maybe not the season to be wearing a Welsh.
Oh, I always knew you were brave, mate. And you.
And also, like the Welsh rugby team, I dropped the ball and I've left you and I've kept you guys waiting. So I apologise for that.
You haven't. You're always there. You're all right, though, Barry. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really good. I am under pressure, like what life's like, but
well, you know what? Good. If you're under pressure with work, it means you're doing all right because you've been on here before and there ain't been a lot of work. So when it's there, Barry, you got to take every bit of work there is. I'm telling you, because you never know in this game.
I'm tripping people up. I'm smashing people's car windows so they can't get to work, and then phoning up and saying, "Listen, if you're short of a pundit, it's unbelievable."
Hey, Barry, what do you think about the Welsh rugby banning Delilah?
Oh well, I don't. I think if it's inappropriate, then I think it's the right thing to do. I need work, so I can't say anything but that, of course. So I have to be. I don't know, but you can sing about Sweet Chariots.
Yeah,
and what that song means. So I don't understand. It's a song,
yeah. Look. You might as well ban every country and west, not every, but how many country western songs are about drinking from a bottle of whiskey and then going home and causing mayhem? But there you go, anyway.
Took me back to my childhood then.
I tell you what, we're talking mayhem. We're going to start this podcast and John's got everything ready. And the first topic is one of John's, I think. Yeah. And this is going to be mayhem. Lara and Wood on Saturday night, John, or Wood defending against Lara, WBA Featherweight.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was looking yesterday, I had a board for a little bit, and I started looking at the odds for the fight, because I fancied Leigh Wood quite strongly. And I was looking at the odds, and Lara's a massive favourite. And I just wonder what you two think about that. Wood, well, two people I trust in boxing to tell me the truth. A guy called Ryan Doyle, who fought Jordan Gill and Leigh Wood. And Ryan said he's never been hit as hard as he was by Leigh Wood. He wouldn't like to fight him again. Josh Warrington said he's disappointed that Wood's getting Lara because he says Lara's not great. He says, I had a stinking night. Wood's going to do what I should have done. I've seen Lara a few times. He can punch like fuck. He's aggressive. He hits hard, but he can be hurt. He can be hurt to the body. He can be outboxed. I think he can probably break his heart if it goes past 6 or 7. And I just wonder if Leigh Wood should be the favourite here. I wonder if people have got this wrong for just looking at Lara's highlights and they're just putting this into he's a devastating knockout artist. I know Wood had trouble with Mick Conlon, who's not a big puncher, and it seemed to take him a few rounds to figure things out. But I just wonder if Wood hits hard. He's got that nice upright stance. He can time things. And I'm just fancying Wood in this fight.
I think I fancy Lara, but I'm not confident with it. And I just think that he has shown a bit of recklessness. But when you go back to his last fight, I know the guy was pretty old, but the rolling, as he was in close to the target, he stayed nice and low and he was starting to roll. And he showed at the first fight after the second Warrington fight, that's when he got hurt, didn't he? Because he got hurt to the chin, hurt to the body. He was reckless. But he was better in his recent fight. And I thought, if he boxes like that against Wood, and it's the way he throws the punches. Now, Colin's not a big puncher, but he throws the punch that had the read. But the shot that really hurt Wood was a looping shot. And I just think that he throws looping shots, Lara. And I just worry about, I think discipline for Wood is important. Because as you already alluded to, straight down the line is where he's going to do all his damage. Yeah. I think with Lara throwing wide shots, there's a gap. I mentioned today. There's somewhere else. There's a big rectangle, if you like, in between the gloves, and that's a big target from navel to the top of the head for Wood to hit straight on the line. And if he can be confident enough to keep his shape, when those wide shots come and block and throw down the middle, then I think he can hurt Larry, certainly knock him out. But I feel that I just got a feeling that he's going to want to, and I think he should start fast, but I think him starting fast might get him in trouble. Or he tries to stick to discipline, like he'll have Ben Davis in the corner who have a plan, and it's mainly safety first, which I'm all for fan of that. I think he'll get frustrated. His natural inclination is to want to have a war. And I think that he will get frustrated when he feels the power of Lara, he'll want Lara to feel his power back. And I just feel that might be maybe his undoing. But I can't see it being anything but a really, really fantastic fight. However, I don't think it lasts past 7 rounds, to be honest. But I think while it's there, it's going to be a real firecracker.
I'll just be quick, so running out of time. We had this conversation on Friday at the Reese Mould fight, John, with Josh Warren, and he said the same as with you there. When someone mentioned the odds there, it was 9-4. I mean, I think they're outstanding. I think that's an outstanding bet. If it's still 9-4 any time, absolute outstanding. I think it can go long, this fight, and I think Leigh would have win on points.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Round 2, Shakur Stevenson, Barry.
Yeah, I've been saying for a while, him and Jaron Ennis and Jared Anderson are possibly 3 Americans who might take over the boxing world in the next sort of 3 or 4 years. And I just think with Stevenson is phenomenal from the Olympics, moving up. He's just an absolute talent who has take Lomachenko out of the equation. He might have the best boxing brain since Mayweather. I think he's physically gifted, but we've seen against Oscar Valdez when he moved up to super featherweight, boxing undefeated Oscar Valdez. Not forget that. A real test for him. How patient he was. He didn't rush his work, didn't go for the finish, didn't try and over-impress. I think he's such a talent. But he's moved into a division now at lightweight, and thankfully he has, which is just absolutely just dripping in quality, like unbelievable quality. I've never, for such a long time, as any weight division had so many real world-class operators. And I think we'll find out now. And also, because financially they have to fight each other. That's the good thing about the lightweights, that I think we get to see how good he really is. If he is going to be the future of world boxing, which I think he might be, he moves into a division now in the lightweight division where he's not going to be able to. He can wait another couple of years for people to get old or retire. He's in it now, and we'll see how good he really is.
John?
Yeah, I love him. I love him. And you mentioned Jared Anderson there, Barry. He's in that stable with Keyshawn Davis, Jared Anderson, and Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah.
God, what a group that is. And with Shakur, you just said physically he's come of age. Instead of moving around a lot and using his feet and throwing shots out, now he's taking the centre of a ring, standing there and using that stiff arm, isn't he? He looks a real physical presence, and he's a phenomenal fighter. I think he'll be the best lightweight. I think he's got that much natural talent.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering, is it a WBC eliminator against the Japanese? Is it Yoshin in April 7th or 8th? I think I saw it was. And I was thinking it won't be long. Almost instantly, that must probably make him the mandatory with everybody. I'm sure they're just all going to put him in there at number 1. But you know what? I see him facing the winner of Lomachenko and Haney as his first sort of super fight. They look like they're going to fight in May. And I can see that's the path before he goes on to, should we say, the Ryan Garcias, the Tanks. I wouldn't be surprised that's the path he'd take. Imagine that for you, Barry. Lomachenko against Shakur Stevenson.
Just unbelievable. Again, it shows, when you've got a superstar on your hands, because he moves up to super feather. Or like featherweight, he boxed undefeated kid against Gonzalez, was it? But then moves up to super feather, boxes the best super featherweights.
Yeah.
Boxing for Oscar Valdez. Moves up the lightweight and he's going to box Haney or Lomachenko. There's no easy introduction into that weight to see how you feel. Just straight in, bam. You're getting eliminated now because he has to pay the 2 costs, but he's a talent.
Yeah. Round 3, the cat that's not purring, Jack Catterall. You know what? I know, look, Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez means My so means a lot more globally than the Catterall rematch with Taylor, you know, around the world because of Lopez. And it, you know, it's a great fight for Taylor. But you know what? I think it's absolutely criminal if Catterall's put to one side again. I'm not sure who his management are, whatever these days, but someone should be shouting from the fucking roof for him because he's now, was he 30 this year in the summer? He's hardly had a fight since 2019. He sat out a year since the Taylor fight. If he knew this was going to happen, he could have cashed in on that robbery, being the victim of that fight. But he hasn't. He's waited for this. And suddenly, last week, he gets this news. He's put his career on hold for 12 months. And he's been around a long time when you think about it for someone who's only 29. And you know what? I think that the fact that no one seems to be arguing his corner publicly right now is a really poor show. So whoever looks after Jack Catterall, get out there, shout from the roofs, call Josh Taylor, everything under name, you know, really upset people, call out Top Rank, call out whoever you need to, because the treatment he's had as a boxer throughout his career, there was a fight before, I don't think he got any, he had to step aside. And I just think his career is in danger of vanishing.
He stepped aside so Taylor could box Ramirez for the unification.
Yeah.
To be fair, which was I loved him for that because we wanted a unified champion, but for him, like, it's just crazy for his career. And also, I don't think he got paid, Steve.
I don't know. No. John,
I
John spoke to him in boxing.
I heard, so it's just
John did the interview,
yeah, it's just unbelievable. Like I'm a massive Josh Taylor fan, always have been.
Of course.
His trajectory to being number one was one of the best runs in recent history. Phenomenal. But you're right. I can't see how he can box a super lightweight. If he moves at the welterweight, fair enough. If he boxes super lightweight and not face Catterall, no. If you're staying at that weight, you gotta do that fight. You gotta for yourself. Like it's just crazy. And I know these organizations shouldn't allow it for the start. Teofimo Lopez, but no, that's a great fight on its own. But like, there's unfinished business.
Yeah. No, I just wonder if Jack shouldn't have waited. Once he realised Taylor was going to be a long delay, whether he should have just stayed active. Something we'll talk about in a minute. Capitalise on that profile you got, because Jack looked exciting that night. It wasn't as if he scraped through and Taylor had a bad night. He looked like a world-class fighter. I just wonder if he'll regret not trying to capitalise away from, instead of tying himself to Taylor. I just wonder if he's might regret not making his own name and branching out a little bit. The Taylor rematch was always there, whether it was 140 or 147. I just wonder if Jack should have concentrated and backed himself rather than tying himself to Josh.
He's most certainly been told. He's been told and promised by promoters that fight's there for you. You're going to get that.
How long do you wait? How long do you wait though? A year?
Yeah, well, he's waited a year now, and it looks like it is from. If we believe what we read, it looks like he's going to lose that fight so Taylor can fight Lopez.
Yeah, and there you go.
Round 4, staying busy, John. I think this sort of carries on this topic of yours.
Yeah, fighter staying busy. It's something I've spoken about for a while, but like a little different angle on it this time. And I wonder if, as well as them not fighting regularly, harming them because they get ring rust and, you know, they can't put what they're learning in the gym into practice as regularly as they should. What it does, it turns every fight into a big, high-pressure, high-profile thing. Because they fight 2 or 3 times a year, everybody's watching every move they make in the ring. And therefore, the criticism ramps up when they don't look as spectacular as normal. It's just another benefit for staying active and staying in the ring. Keep fighting, keep learning. Even if it's an 8-rounder in between title fights for established champions, just stay out there. Let people see you all the time. Let them know that you're working on things. And it just takes the pressure away from having to look spectacular every time. We've spoken about all the benefits of staying active so many times, and I just think this is another one. It just takes that magnifying glass off you from having to be out of this world every single time.
Just on a financial point of view, it's like, why wouldn't you just want to fight more anyway? Maybe they do. I don't know how it works, but yeah, it's this whole fighting twice a year at any level is ridiculous. Even if you're world level, I don't see how you need to have, unless you've got injuries, why you need to have all that time off. You can still have enough time to enjoy yourself, enough time to get fit and ready for a fight. And plus, the more you fight, the less intense training you have to do, because you're always the building blocks are there. You don't have to rebuild. You're there ready. Just got to sharpen yourself up for a fight. I think you're right. And also, in this generation of selling yourself more than ever before, as you've already just said, the more people see you, and like social media is great, but people need to see you fight. They see actually see you do work. The more they see you, the more they want. And also, you're boxing below your level. You probably look better than your warm-up fight.
Spectacular, yeah.
You're right. I do think it's and also, but boxing fans, we want to see more of our favorite fighters.
Yeah,
but
I'm with you.
Do you guys think this maybe comes? Obviously, we have Mayweather really starting it with twice a year. Then the PBC coming along, playing bananas money to fighters that were good luck to them, but bananas purses, and they weren't having to get out of bed like Gary Russell Jr., for example. A couple of But I'm just wondering if the money they're earning, these guys these days, compared with what they was earning 20 years ago, even on a comparative scale, that they don't need to go to.
I'm talking about people at English and British title level, Steve, who we know what they're earning. 11, 12 grand a fight, some of them, and they're fighting 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, I literally, it used to be you fight and you just say, when am I out next? Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like that. You never always got the luck that you wanted to go out, but I mean, and there's some fighters that sell tickets all the time. Why would you just want to be out there every week, wouldn't you?
Is it possible because the TV promoters have got so many fighters on their books that they can't keep them all busy, and this is why a British champion only fight 2 times a year? Where these promoters, they've got so many fighters on their books. How do they keep them all happy? I mean, it's hard enough for a small horse show. I mean, Steve Wood, a VIP, he does 20 shows a year. He still has 86 fighters to get out.
Although I will say it can be done. Look at our mate Denzel Bentley. He's getting ready for his 4th fight in 12 months. They've all been title fights. He's fought for a world title, and he's defending his title again in March on the Joe
against
Joyce
Kieran Smith.
card.
In April.
4 fights. There you go. 4 fights in a year, and look how much Denzel's improved. His profile's gone up. His ability's gone up. He's performed better each time, and he's got better from doing it, and he's earned money. He's like prototype example of how it could be done. I
would say the problem is that whatever you get paid is your benchmark. That's your level of, in your mind. That's your wages. So if anything below that, you won't accept it. Whatever it's for, that's the way. That's your mindset, unfortunately. So if you're getting paid too much for one fight, which might be the case, not for Denzel, obviously, then, because he's obviously getting what he feels is happy for him to live on. But I mean, if you don't think I stepped on a level of on less money, you refuse that. You'd rather wait for a bigger fight. It's stupid, but I think that's how they look.
We'll go over a little bit. Barry, you can answer this then from personal experience, because you're the only one of us who's actually done it. When you were fighting at title level, instead of grinding away in the gym, training, waiting for a date, if it offered you an 8-rounder for a few grand less, just to keep that money in and keep you ticking, would you have taken it?
I would have, yeah. But again, but I think it is just a different mindset. I think, most definitely, you fight all the time if you can. If you just think that's an extra 8 grand or an extra 5 grand or 4 grand, whatever it is, it's extra money, isn't it?
You know what?
And it's a buzz. You love to do it. I don't understand why they love for it. Just getting ready for fights. It's nerve-wracking and you shit yourself, but you love it. Like, why wouldn't you want to do it?
You know what? I think Denzel Bentley might have that attitude. He most probably got, he earned his money and got up towards his flat in Battersea Village he wants from the world title fight he had. But he's most probably got that attitude. Martin Bowser probably said to him, Frank's got nothing for you, big. You're going to have to sit and wait, or you can have this fight for X amount. Yeah. And he's thought, I'll have that.
Yeah.
I'll take it. It's a fight I should win. Round 5, 10 minutes left there. Round 5, looking doomed, Barry. Davis Garcia.
Well, it's the dreaded rematch clause. Looks like that's the bane of my life for boxing. Ruins everything. Holds careers up. But this is a great fight. Both want to fight each other, it seems. TV companies everyone's agreed on the fight, and it's held up because who takes the rematch? I know the rematch will probably be worth more money, but don't talk about rematches. If there's just don't mention a rematch. Just worry about this fight, and then worry about the next fight if the next fight comes. We're gonna miss out now on what would be a fabulous fight, I feel, a big occasion for boxing as well. It puts in a great light, and that won't happen now because they're worried about the rematch. Not just the fighters, the teams, the TV companies, and his rematch clauses for me are just an absolute shitbag of the sport. Yeah. I can't. I hate them, and Garcia and Davis is a brilliant fight in a brilliant division, whether it's lightweight or super lightweight, and I think and it's held up because of a rematch clause, and it just makes me so sad.
You know what? We speak about these fights every week, super fights, and this was a fight. I think I said a few weeks ago when it was first mooted. I thought they were going to sign on the brink around early January, and I said then it's a fight I won't believe happens until they get in the ring. And now I'm almost thinking now that's all but gone for this year. That fight now. They're gonna have some sort of fight. One a fight in April, one a fight June, and before you know it, it'll be the end of this year, and they'll be talking again. It's almost close.
Yeah.
Does it become another Crawford Spence even? I know they're a lot younger.
Another Crawford Spence, and what it also does, because neither of them will want to take a dangerous fight while they're building up to that now, it means that Davis and Garcia aren't going to fight the likes of Shakur, Haney, Lomachenko. They're going to stay on separate paths, just building that fight. So we miss out on all other fights that could have happened in the meantime. I saw something the other day, and it's Oscar De La Hoya in 1 year for Obakar, Ike Quarte, and Felix Trinidad. And look at him now in charge. De La Hoya was a god, weren't he? He was a warrior. He fought anybody, would fight anybody. Yeah. And look at him now in charge of this, just making a right pig's ear of it. It's so sad.
I just don't know. I mean, I just think we're here moaning about it. We've moaned about Crawford Spence, and it's not going to change. In 2 years' time, there'll be another super fight coming along, and it's not going to happen over a rematch clause over who wears the dressing gown with the most silk in it, most stitching in it. That's what it's going to be, and that's what it's getting
madness,
to.
Isn't it? It's just madness that the little things that you shouldn't even give a shit about. It should be where the fight is and the money, and maybe who walks first, like whose name's on the poster, who has the biggest changing room, what gloves, who has the gloves to pick on gloves. I wouldn't care about the gloves.
Hey, it's just. You've hit there now. The only issue with this fight should be the spin of the coin at the weigh-in between Tank and Ryan Garcia over who walks first and who gets announced first if you lose the top. That's all. That should be the only thing that needs sorting with this fight. But it's not going to happen again. But we could go on all night about that, John. Are we 3 minutes air? I thought so. Right, round 6. We always leave this pod in a very, very having a laugh or so. But tonight, a bit of a somber moment. A great friend of this podcast. He was a guest a few weeks ago, Ron Lewis, who tragically passed away far too young, age 54 on Friday. I've known Ron for 30 years, and I've been thinking a lot about him. I remember just 2 little things come to mind. I'm going to chop this bit of the pod and send it to, there's an email address for his children to see, and I want them to hear this from us 3. Just what Stanley and Polly know what their dad was as a journalist and a man. I'll never forget. I look back on how often I mentioned Ron on Facebook on Friday night. Just something I was thinking about a lot, and I always remember one night, and I've mentioned it so often. Some of the greatest gigs I've been to, the greatest nights out, and one. And it's come up 4 or 5 times I've mentioned this over the years. And it was a night out with Ron and Dean Powell watching the Stranglers in Manchester before a Hatton fight. Tremendous. And there was and just to sum up, Ron, I don't need to tell his family what a brilliant journalist he was. As part from, and he's last appeared on the pod a few weeks ago. And when we introduced the program, John Evans said, we're going to have to lift the game tonight. Ron Lewis is on. And that's all you need to show. But another example of Ron's sort of humour, and I don't know if it was humour, or he could be a little bit belligerent sometimes in a beautiful way. We was in Vegas a few years ago after a calm fight, or before the night of a calm fight. I mean, a few of us were going for a meal afterwards, and Ron was a vegetarian, and every restaurant, all they had was a veggie burger. So we kept walking around. So Ron's finally found a restaurant that had a great veggie selection. And do you know what Ron ordered off the menu? A veggie burger. Ron, I'll miss you so much, mate. And I know your children are going to do you proud, and your Stanley's going to turn into a fine cricketer. And it's fantastic that there's been Surrey County Cricket Club wanting to go down there for the day and stuff like that. Take care wherever you are, my friend Ron. And I'll just ask, maybe start with you, John, to say a few words, and then Barry before we wrap up.
Yeah, I've knew Ron for probably, it must be 8 or 9 years now. I met him down at Box Nation. Got the appointment for Boxing Matters, be there at 2:30 on Friday, Ron, with Ron Lewis. And normally, you know, going down, I didn't think twice about who I was on with. You just go in and get on with it and have a chat. But I remember thinking, I've got to be on it today because Ron's good. We never met. He probably didn't know who I was. I was just doing stuff on the internet. But ever since that day, I liked Ron. He was a good fella, a good bloke, honest as anything. He never changed his opinion according to who he was speaking to. If he didn't agree with you, he told you he didn't agree with you. Encyclopedic knowledge. If I ever needed anything, I'd send Ron a quick message just to confirm things. But more than that, he was just a good fella. I used to like Ron. He became my friend. And it was horrendous news on Friday. Horribly sad. And Stanley, we don't want to neglect Polly, but Stanley used to always tell you about how he was doing with his spin bowling, didn't he? And show you little videos on his phone. So, yeah, it's terribly sad, but awful.
Final word with you, Barry. We'll let a former world champion talk about Ron. He'd like all that. He'd love all that.
Well, like I met Ron at Box Nation as well, like you did, John, and yeah, he just what I like about Ron, I put something on Twitter, and so did lots of other people put the same thing. He's one of the good ones in every aspect. That you can use that as his nature, as, you know, the way he treated people. His work, more importantly, I think, you know, for boxing fans, one of the good ones, the ones that. So, you know, Twitter's mad in it for my own experience. There's few people. There's a handful of. There's not more than a handful. There's a few people whose opinions I respect. You two, him, and there's a couple of others, but there's a few others out there as well. But Ron was one of them. So if he put something nice about me on Twitter, I would screenshot it and keep it, because then when I'm having a bad day, like with you guys, you put some praise, and I praise of people who just praise for the sake of praising. It's nice, but it's not real. Praise of someone like Ron, who doesn't pander to anybody, like you, Lillis. You know, don't pander to anybody, and so that you know if it's a compliment, it's a real compliment, not just to stroke your ego, not just to make you feel nice. He's saying it because they believe it, and that's what I liked about him. He was straight. He didn't deviate his opinion on a fight or a fighter because so he could get access to a promoter, which in this generation is, as you guys know, is very difficult to do. You know, it's almost impossible to do, and you guys struggle with that daily, of course. And he was one of those, like you guys, in the same sort of mold. The integrity was above everything else, and that's what I remember about him. So his opinion meant a lot. So when I go to a weigh-in or a press conference, which is very rarely, you know, and I'm not one who just stand in the middle going, hi, hello. I stay on the back around the walls, and there's a few people I make an effort to go and see. And he was in the group of you lot. And I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but that's what it was, though. It was few people who I'd like to speak to, who were not standing on chairs and shouting and making a big screaming thing of themselves. They were just doing their job, honest, and that was it. A real one of the good ones. That's what it is.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.